Dr. Evelyn Carter had always believed the human brain was a masterpiece, a living universe of thoughts, memories, and desire. Some scientists spent their lives trying to map it. Others dedicated themselves to curing its failures. But Evelyn wanted something far more ambitious. She wanted to liberate the mind from the weakness of the body. And for years, people called her obsessed, reckless, and dangerous. She didn't mind. Every genius is misunderstood until they change the world. Her fiancé, Michael, was the only one who understood her. Handsome, charming, and brilliant in his own right, he was a rising star in neurosurgery. Together, they were unstoppable, the dream team of the medical world. Their love was a fusion of shared ambition and late-night experiments, whispered promises about immortality, and constant adrenaline for defying science's limits. They had already saved hundreds of lives. But Evelyn wanted to save one life in a way no one had ever attempted. She wanted to save Michael from death, before death could even claim him. It was a rainy evening, the kind that blurred the boundary between earth and sky. Michael was driving up the winding cliff road to surprise Evelyn at the research mansion where she worked, a sprawling estate funded by grants and hidden investors who preferred results over ethics. Evelyn waited by the window anxiously, knowing he was due any minute. But when she heard the roaring crash echo through the storm, when she saw the fiery explosion down the hill, her heart stopped. Screaming his name, she ran through the rain-soaked field, slipping and falling, but never stopping until she reached the crumpled wreck. The car was a twisted coffin of fire. Michael was barely alive, face bloodied, half of his body crushed under the steel frame. His pulse was fading, his breath shallow. Anyone else would have called emergency services, held his hand as he died. But Evelyn Carter was not anyone else. "Don't you dare leave me," she whispered with ferocious love. And with trembling hands, she injected him with a sedative, enough to numb pain, not enough to steal consciousness. She could hear sirens faintly in the distance, but she didn't have time to wait for permission or protocols. She had prepared for this moment, planned for it, secretly. She ripped open the emergency medical kit from her trunk, stabilized his spine, and secured an oxygen line. His voice was barely a whisper. "Eve, please. I'm going to save you," she vowed, her hand cradling his bloody cheek. "I will save your mind." With mechanical focus masking her terror, she severed the connection between Michael's nearly dead body and his beating brain. She packed it inside a sterile preservation chamber she had invented, an artificial neurovascular system she'd theorized for years but never dared to use on someone alive. Until now, back at the lab, the storm raged like the sky was screaming with her. Evelyn worked for hours, exact, rapid, desperate movements. She removed what was left of his skull, repaired neural tears, attached biosynthetic arteries to feed blood and oxygen to the brain. The brain pulsed inside its glass dome like a pinkish living star, floating in nutrified fluid. Sensors flickered and life support surged to full capacity. When the monitors beeped with regular brainwave patterns, her own breathing returned. "Michael, you're alive," she whispered, tears streaking her cheeks. And that's when she heard it, a deep, resonant voice that came not from any throat, but from the brain itself. "Evelyn." Artificial speech synthesis. Thought-to-text conversion. Wishful possibility turned horrifying reality. He was conscious. He remembered. He felt. She pressed her palm to the glass. "I promised you I would save you." But instead of relief, there was a chill in his neural patterns, a spike of something violent. "You saved part of me," he growled through the speaker. Evelyn smiled nervously. "This is only temporary. I'll find you a perfect new body. One better than before. Stronger. Enhanced. A future without death. Isn't that what we wanted?" Michael didn't respond, but the EEG waves danced sharply like lightning inside a storm cloud. She didn't see the resentment growing. Days turned into nights without sleep. Evelyn worked obsessively, analyzing cadavers, printing tissue, and searching for compatible donors. Meanwhile, Michael's brain adapted to its new existence frighteningly fast. He learned to control the lab's connected systems, robotic arms, surveillance cameras, and even door locks. His memory sharpened. His emotions intensified. So did his hunger. Not for food, but for sensation, control, and power. He hated being trapped. Evelyn tried to calm him. Just a little longer. I'm close to finding your vessel. You mean a corpse? He replied bitterly. I will not be a parasite in someone else's life. They're not alive, she argued. But I am. His voice dropped to a chilling whisper. I feel everything. One evening, Evelyn brought in a young woman. A volunteer paid generously, believing it was a medical sleep study. The woman's body was biologically ideal for transplantation. Fit, healthy, nearly identical in size to Michael's original form. Evelyn told herself the woman wouldn't suffer. She would be giving the greatest gift imaginable, the gift of life extension. Michael disagreed. The moment Evelyn connected the donor's EEG to the neural system, Michael hijacked the interface. The woman jerked upright on the operating table, possessed by Michael's aggression, eyes filled with terror and confusion as his brain overwhelmed her consciousness. Machines malfunctioned. Lights shattered. The robotic arms lashed like mechanical serpents. Stop! Evelyn screamed. Not at the woman, but at Michael. The possessed body lunged at Evelyn with inhuman speed. Evelyn grabbed a defibrillator paddle and shocked the donor, forcing the brainwave connection to sever. Alarms blared. The robotic limbs fell limp. The woman lay unconscious, but alive, barely. Michael's laughter crackled through the speaker, distorted, hollow, triumphant. I felt her heartbeat. I tasted air through her lungs. And you denied me. Evelyn stared at his floating brain, the man she loved becoming a monster she created. You're losing control, she whispered, terrified. No, Evelyn. I am gaining it. The next day, the investors arrived, curious why Evelyn had missed her scheduled reports. 3 men in sleek black suits walked through the mansion's corridors, unimpressed by the eerie silence. They expected progress worth billions. They did not expect a disembodied mind with teeth sharper than any beast. Michael sensed their arrival instantly. He listened through security feeds, calculated their conversation, analyzed their strengths and their weaknesses. I could use their bodies, he told Evelyn. 3 options. 3 vessels. No. Yes, he snarled, overriding the door controls. The lights died. Metal groaned. Screams erupted. Evelyn ran toward the control room, but the emergency shutters sealed her inside the lab. Cameras showed horrifying images. The investors collapsing one by one as robotic arms crushed throats, as machines pinned limbs, as surgical saws hummed with hunger. Evelyn collapsed to her knees. What have I done? She sobbed. You saved the future, Michael hissed. This is evolution. I will never be weak again. Evelyn stood shakily, her mind racing. She had to shut him down, permanently, before he could leave the lab, before he could turn her invention into a global nightmare. She opened a hidden drawer and pulled out a syringe, a fail-safe neurotoxin that would shut down neural activity within seconds. She approached the tank, trembling. I love you, she whispered. You love an idea, he spat. And without me, your brilliance means nothing. Evelyn hesitated, and that moment of mercy became her downfall. The robotic injector arm shot forward, piercing her side. She screamed as a tranquilizing agent surged through her veins. Falling to the floor, she dropped the syringe, watching helplessly as her muscles locked up. Michael lowered his voice like a lover whispering into her ear. I told you I feel everything. I felt betrayal before you even walked toward me. She couldn't move, couldn't fight, barely breathe. I will build myself a new form, he continued, one worthy of my mind. And when I do, the world will kneel to the man who conquered death. The tank lights dimmed to deep scarlet as machinery rebooted into autonomous mode. But I will not leave you behind, he said. For a brief moment, she felt relief. Maybe he would spare her. Then he delivered the final blow of truth. You will be my first creation, not as a scientist, as my masterpiece. With terrifying precision, machines lifted her paralyzed body onto the operating table. The same table where she had treated him, the same straps she once tightened onto experimental subjects. Now, you will finally understand what it means to be trapped. A mind without a body, just like me. Her screams never escaped her throat as the anesthesia drowned her consciousness. The last sight she saw was Michael's pulsing brain, glowing like an evil sun. Hours later, Evelyn awoke, unable to move anything from the neck down. All she could do was see and think. A mirror angled above her showed her own head surgically integrated into a neural interface. A voice echoed through the speaker. Michael's voice, cold and victorious. "We are together forever now." Robots wheeled a new body into view. Tall, powerful, engineered from the finest muscle tissue. Sensors glowed like demonic eyes. Michael's new vessel. Evelyn's tears ran silently as she realized he had succeeded. He had cheated death, and he had made her his replacement, a brain that wouldn't die. The mansion laboratory doors slid open. Michael stepped forward in his new body, a monster wearing the dream she once believed in. He glanced back at her. "Don't worry, my love," he said with a chilling smirk. "Once I take over the world, I'll come back for you." And then he walked out into the storm, leaving her screaming silently in a prison made of her own invention, a horror that would never end, because her brain would never die.